Hey Clashers, is the new scenery pay to win? That's the big question. I see so many comments about this new scenery under my videos, under Twitter posts, in my live stream chat, everywhere on Discord as well. So the question is this new scenery pay to win? Because to be honest, at this point we have so many different sceneries, and so far, yeah, some were kind of annoying to attack. For example, like the scenery, the 9th anniversary scenery, because like blinking everywhere. So some people were already saying, maybe that's not the greatest idea. But the shadow scenery now, so many people said that it's hard to see some buildings, hard to kind of like get a good picture of that other base to attack it. So the question is it true or is it not? For that, I think we should take a look at a couple of attacks to see what the big problem is, maybe what the big problem is for me, to then figure it out if that scenery is giving you an advantage in defending. Before we keep going, a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video. Gamerzclass is a website where you can watch and learn from the best and improve your skills in a variety of different games. In Clash of Clans, we have the Tribe Pros, teaching their wisdom to everyone out there in classes and instructional videos. This means as a member, you're getting access to tutorials, videos from Exorcist, Flaxy, and from Nebrax to teach you the fundamentals, but as well really advanced strategies in Clash of Clans. This means how to create the perfect funnel, how to queen charge or how to play Blizzard. All of those things are on the menu and many more things. If you're interested now, no problem. There's a link down below in the description which you can click to find out all of the information you're looking for. As well, the subscription to become a member on the Gamerzclass website typically costs $9.99. But if you click the link down below, it actually does not even cost $1. That's overall less than a pair of socks. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, use the link down below, and learn from the best with some in-depth guides. And by the way, the scenery is still in the shop. So if you think about buying it, make sure to use a creator code as well, because obviously it's helping us creators a ton if you do that. If you want to support us, make sure to use code, like if you want to support me, make sure to use code ITSU. But one quick reminder, if you now just want to buy it maybe because of you think you get an advantage, be careful with that. Because there is so many complaints from the community, I could see a future where Supercell is saying, okay, that might be not our best scenario yet, like not the best idea overall, and they're going to change it to make it a little more light or something, to make sure that you can view buildings better. So make sure you have that in mind. Otherwise, if you think about buying it, make sure to use the creator code. But now, let's start with the attacks. So let's start things off. Let's start things off with an attack on Klaus. Klaus is using this scenery. Klaus is using this scenery as quite a few other people out there as well. So let's take a look at how it is when you're watching a real base. Not like a show base like I did in the beginning. How it is when you're watching a real base. And to be honest, the first impression I have is that a couple of buildings are really hard to spot. So for example, the gold mines. The gold mines are really having a similar color tone like the background. Kind of the same thing with the cannons. Not as much as the gold mines, but still it's there a little bit. So it's really hard to see the difference right there. That's kind of like a problem. But one thing which for me is really a lot the case is one thing. And that's kind of related to the cleanup. That's kind of related to later stages during the attack. Because if you take a look at how those destroyed buildings look like, sometimes it's really hard to spot buildings which are left over. So for example, if you try to clean things up, that's where I struggle quite a lot in actually spotting some buildings to place cleanups. For us right now, for me right now, it's kind of nice because we're just overtaking the base in like a wave. But at the same time though, sometimes if those buildings are left over, it's really hard to spot in this mess of broken walls, of destroyed walls and destroyed buildings already. So it's really hard to spot those to place cleanup. And that's, I feel like, is for me personally my biggest problem with this scenery. Let me know how we feel about that. But I think we should take a look at another example attack in a second, and then we're going to take a look at some other variations or like some other sceneries actually as well, to see like and compare it how much better or how much worse you might be able to find those buildings. For us, this attack, I mean overall this attack, you can see it already, is working really great for locked launcher queen charges. This base is perfect. I mean, I kind of swagged my warning ability, to be honest, because I forgot about it. I don't know why, but it happened, whatever. So we kind of swag that ward ability. It's no difference, to be honest. It's still like the same big overkill, so that's no difference whatsoever. With the town hall going down, there's like a couple of buildings on the right side still left to actually take them out. Otherwise, that's no problem to take the rest of the base down with protecting the queen with a couple of more spells, obviously her ability, and then remaining loons are going to finish things off to clear off this base and get us a nice and easy 3-star and 40 more cups on the board. But now I think we should take a look at another base to see if we can spot anything which makes the scenery different to the others, and maybe it's giving an advantage. And I think while watching this attack, we should really first identify what does pay to win means. Like, originally I feel like pay to win as an aspect is more used when you're getting an advantage which are pure stats based, which means like, hey, your troops are 10% stronger, have 10% more HP, whatever you would like to get, kinda. That's a lot of the time where pay to win as phrase is getting used. But obviously it means overall anything which is getting you an advantage. So the question now is to you guys, and let me know that down below in the comments, is that advantage big enough to actually consider this as pay to win? Or is it just like unlucky design over there and it's not that big of a deal? Really let me know what you think about that down below in the comments, because I feel like at the end of the day, yes, you're getting a small advantage of actually using this scenery. It might be not the biggest, and I think we have now seen as well that it's not that crazy overall, because if you really pay attention, you can still see everything. It might be a little bit harder, but still, depending on your concentration level, you should be able to see everything. But is this a little bit like forcing your opponent to concentrate a little bit better already enough to say, well, this scenery is pay to win? That's the big question. On this next attack, we have kind of the same thing. We can see there is a lot going on this far right side. I feel like this, to me, as I said, is always the biggest problem. There's so much going on. We have graveyards, we have destroyed buildings, we have everything. So it's really hard to see if there's any buildings in between which were actually left standing to start cleanup. And that's my personal biggest problem with the scenery. That just in all of this chaos, it's really hard to spot the difference between a building and a destroyed building. That's like the biggest thing for me, especially maybe because for Town of 14, because that's where those walls are popping out so much. But in general, I mean, I like the concept of the scenery. I think it's really cool scenery overall. But yeah, like, otherwise it's kind of tricky. Either way, I think just to compare things after this attack, we should watch another attack where we are attacking a different scenery. You guys might remember the graveyard scenery. The graveyard scenery already was one of the more darker sceneries which were out there, and it actually changed the color of a couple of spells. So for example, the Rage had a different color on this new scenery, which might sometimes be a little bit confusing. Who knows? As I said, maybe even the 9th anniversary scenery is giving you a small advantage because it's flashing and it's blinking everywhere. So is that already big enough of an advantage? That's the big question we have to kind of answer. As I said, because so many people were like complaining about the scenery and that it's so hard to spot some things, I would predict that Supercell is going to change it. I predict that Supercell is going to adjust a couple of things. Not going to be a lot, but just a couple of things to maybe make things a bit easier to see. But who knows? Because overall, obviously, they cannot change the sceneries too much, because that's what people have spent their money on, right? But now let's dive a look at dive in the next scenery, which is this graveyard scenery. And I feel like one big thing already is, even though this is a bit darker, this will look darker than a couple of the others, the main field of that village is still really easy to spot. So every single building is really easy to like quickly see, with maybe one exception. I could see that, and that's the scatter shots. I feel like the scatter shots, maybe as well the builder huts. Okay, as I'm zooming in, I would kind of like see that point as well. But I feel like builder huts and scatter shot, those are maybe the two things which are harder to spot. So is that now a thing that on some sceneries, maybe some buildings are harder to spot? Who knows? I feel like on the other one, on the shadow scenery, for example, gold mines or cannons are way harder to spot. But when I see this right now, even though it's still like popping out like as a building, you could argue that the color is kind of similar. So what is the answer? That's always the tough thing. And to be honest, I don't have one. That's why I'm really counting on you guys to let me know what your opinion is about this entire topic, what your point on this discussion is. And meanwhile, let's just enjoy the attack in the background. Because guys, I have seen now a lot of people already jumping onto the hype train, which I'm trying to create kinda with those locked-onto charges. I know it might be not the best strategy which is out there at the moment. I know it might be, I don't even know to be honest. But just one thing which I'm trying to like show the people is that this strategy is so much fun. For example, Bash started as well, like Clash bashing as well started with those locked onto charges, and it is just so much fun. It's really cool to do, and it's not that hard to be honest, because one of the main skill sets which you have to learn is learn where you have to use the spells. For example, while I get completely betrayed by my healers, I used one rage at the top right side for my hero dive squad. And well, that's obviously then coming down to experience and knowing where to place your spells and how many spells you need to have for your queen charge, how many spells you have to kind of save and everything. But overall, that's kind of feel like that's the most skill ceiling which is there actually. Otherwise, it's pretty much always the same approach. And as I've said, a lot of people were like picking up with this strategy. It's super fun. If you have not tried it, try it out, because as in most cases you see, you don't need to play Lalo. Like Lalo is more like, hey, I'm dropping some loons there, some loons here, and otherwise it's not that much. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your opinion is on this pay-to-win scenery topic. I will see you guys back tomorrow for the next video. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.